Okay, I think we're done here. Let me do this. Okay. Let me check one more thing and then we will get started. Okay. Okay, yeah, I can't see it, but it does say that we're live. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome everyone that is joining us again. I'm excited just really about the things that we've been doing at NABA for the last several months. Just as a recap, we spent this fall really just talking about financial preparations, financial literacy, building a solid foundation. We started out in September talking about how to build a solid foundation. We had two great sessions for that. Please go back over our YouTube channel and check that out. And then in October, we also had two dynamic sessions really talking about credit management, how your credit score is calculated. And for those that need to rebuild their credit score, what are those steps? What does that look like? Please go back and check that out. This month, we are talking about home buying, and we're not talking about it from a traditional standpoint. We're going to take a step back and really talk about what is it that you need to know so that you can prepare yourself financially for home buying. So again, my name is Bernice Jenkins. I am the Financial Literacy Director for the Southern region of the National Association of Black Accountants. And today I have again with us Sharonda Everson. Sharonda joined us last week. We got a chance to know her. We talked about her background. We talked about the things that she's seeing in the industry. And I hope you got a sense for her passion and her real desire to help our community in the area of financial literacy. If you have not had the opportunity to see that session, definitely go back and check Sharonda out. Today, we're going to talk about the top 10 things that you should consider before getting into the home buying process. And we're going to do this because we've noticed that there are many times where people decide that they want to have a home mortgage and they're ready to buy a house, only to get through the application progress and have to halt to go back and fix something, whether it's their credit, whether it's income issues, or even just to be disappointed that they can't afford what they really wanted to afford because there were some decisions that was made in the past that came back to haunt them. And that's what we really want to prepare you guys for today. And before I hand it off to Sharonda for this conversation, this is actually going to be just informal, laid back conversational style. So as she's going through her top 10 items, feel free, if you're watching us from YouTube, I will make sure that I am monitoring that chat. I will definitely ask those questions for you. Just go ahead and type that in. If you're watching us on Zoom, there is a Q&A section. Please feel free to type in your questions there, and we'll be sure to address them along the way. When I was talking to Sharonda about these top 10, I got really excited. And it reminded me, and I'm going to date myself, but it reminded me of this time on the Cosby Show when Cliff Huxtable was trying to help his son, or talk to his son about playing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He wanted to just get to the saxophone and just play just like his favorite person. And he got in there and he had to learn do, re, mi, fa, sol, la.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for that. So I kind of think about Sharonda's top 10 things to consider is something similar to that, because you could look at some of these things that may not even be financial in nature and think that has nothing to do with me trying to get what I want, and that's a house. But what you need to really consider is that every financial habit has an indirect influence on the type of house you can afford. And even if you get to the house, if you will have the ability to maintain this home and still be able to accomplish other important financial goals. So that's what we're here to do. It's not about getting a house. What we really want to say, yeah, you can get a house, but let's talk about how do you prepare your finances so that by the time you get to the table, you have your expectations set and you are able to get what you want based off of the preparation that you've put in place. So I just queued all that up for Sharonda, but I'm going to hand it off to her and let her get started giving us some wisdom in this area.
Yes. Hi, you guys. I am Sharonda Everson. And listen, I've been in this industry since 2003. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Okay. Just about everything. And on top of helping customers get financially ready for homeownership, I also try to help customers get mentally and emotionally ready for homeownership, because when you go through the home buying process, it brings a lot of things to the surface. Okay. It brings the good things, the bad things, the ugly things from the past. So the ugly things that you may be dealing with now. So in my experience, one thing I can say is that I've had the opportunity to learn psychologically what customers go through for the home buying process, even with myself and with my family, with, going through the home buying process and all of that. There are so many things to take into consideration. So I'm going to go through 10 top things. They're in no particular order, but here are 10 things that I want to begin to get you guys to just start thinking about when you're getting ready to purchase a property. Okay. The first thing that I have here is consider your current family size. And when I say that, I said, are you buying a house as a single person or as a married person? Just you and your spouse, or do you have children? Are you single with children, married with children? How old are the children? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would say take that into consideration, because sometimes our eyes can be bigger than our stomach. And so for that situation, you don't want to overdo it, especially the first round. Have you ever been in a situation where you went to the restaurant and you were hungry?
Yeah. You I paid too much. I wasted a lot of money.
Yeah, you waste a lot of money, then you got the leftovers.
Yeah.
And then that fridge, and you had to end up throwing it away.
So let me ask you this: when we're deciding, what is it that a person needs to consider based on their family size? Like, what are if you're single or if you're married? What's the big thing that you should consider?
Well, here's the thing: consider, what do you need when you're buying a house? Do you need one bedroom? Because some people, they don't want anybody over their house. They want their own space. They want to own it. And they're like, as long as I got a one bedroom, one bathroom, I'm good. Or if you're that person that likes to have visitors or family comes to visit, you're like, okay, let me have a second bedroom and a second bathroom just in case. So I'm thinking on that time.
Okay.
So look at where you are in your life right now and see what you need.
Okay.
Because if you're thinking like, okay, I'm single, but I'm going to be married one day and I want to have 10 kids, let me go ahead and buy this 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house right now because of what I want in my future. But that may not be the most financially sound decision.
Oh, so you telling me you're seeing people that are buying based on their future that hadn't happened, or what they are buying based on a dream versus buying on where they are in their personal situation, and not being able to tell the difference between the two?
Yes, and many times it's based on emotions. Have to be careful about making large purchases based on your emotions.
Oh, okay. So really, understanding your family size is really about understanding what is it that you need from a functional standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If you are overbuying outside of, you know, what you really need, you can know, hey, I might be wasting a little money here. And it's okay if you want to do that, but at least you're aware that I made a conscientious decision.
Yes. And then,
Okay.
one thing that I do see, and this is just an example, sometimes you have single people
Mm-hmm.
that buy houses and they don't even go to no more than like 2, 3 rooms. The bathroom, the kitchen,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
go to their bedroom to sleep, and probably the living room. They don't go to those other bedrooms.
Yeah, because remember I talked about that on our last meeting.
Yes.
I was to get like this 2-story house, and the master bedroom was on the first floor. And I'm like, everything I need is on this first floor. I'm single. I'll never go upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And something in my spirit wouldn't let me spend that just to be like, I made it. And which is an emotional decision.
Yeah. And then also think about it like this. This is where you are right now. If you're single, or if it's just you and your spouse, or if it's you and your child, if you're a single parent, it's okay to think about the future, but maybe what you want in the future you can't afford right now.
Mhm.
You don't want to position yourself to kind of struggle or live paycheck to paycheck just to say you in your dream house when
Right.
things may change within 5 years. Your tastes, your preferences. What if you go in as a
Right.
single person and then 5 years later you're married with 3 children? What you
Okay.
wanted in the beginning may be different 5 years from now.
Right.
And some people think, oh, if I buy a house, I can't buy another one. No, you can buy another one. Just sell that one and move on up.
Yeah, yeah. I think we get so caught up in what the market looks like too, right? We're making decisions on homes and when to buy it. What do you think about that? Because I've heard industry experts say buy when it's right for you,
Absolutely.
not the market, because it'll take care of itself. But what's your thoughts on that?
Things change. And it also depends on the individual,
Mm-hmm.
how they manage their finances,
Mm-hmm.
and how they live their life.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, people are different. You may have that single person that's a homebody, and then you may have that single person that likes to travel a lot.
Right. So what about people that are married with children?
Mhm.
What are some things they should consider, especially as it relates to their child's age and matriculation in education? What?
Yeah, think about your child's age. Well, first of all, think about your price range. Definitely get pre-approved to see what you can afford based on where you are right now.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. You want to be in a decent school district, or it doesn't matter, if your child goes to a charter school or other situations.
Yeah.
So you think about that, and then you also want to think about your finances, because sometimes the prices are hiked up because families want to live in certain areas. So
Mhm.
maybe your given price point allows you to be in a $1,200 mortgage, but the area that you want to live in is going to cost you $1,800.
Right.
To 1,800, and you got young children, especially if they're in sports, especially if they're active,
Mhm.
and depending on their age, if they're going to be going to college or not, which kind of goes into one of my other questions as well. Think about the children too, or the top 10. Think about the children too, because do you really want to pay a high mortgage and have the expenses of those kids? Because kids can be quite expensive.
Right. Yeah. Activities. Yeah. Activities in school.
Activities to keep
All
them
of that
busy.
adds up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's a
So
good.
yeah, think about your family size. And
Okay.
that kind of segues into, let's see, what's the next one that I want to go to?
And these aren't in no order, right? They're not.
No order.
These
Which
are two
also
things.
goes into looking at your current financial situation. When you're
Okay.
thinking about buying your house, you got to look at your current financial situation. This could also include what type of debt and how much debt you currently have now.
Mm,
How does that impact what you want to buy?
right, right. That's a big one. That's a big.
Yeah. So when I say the type of debt, that could be expenses for childcare, expenses for a car to commute back and forth to work, expenses for a part-time nanny if you're a working parent.
Okay.
It could be living expenses. What if you like to travel? What if you like to eat out?
Right.
You know,
Right. So you're
Mhm.
saying, don't just get the mortgage you can afford because you can afford the payment. You got to think through all the other payments based on your current situation
Yeah, and your lifestyle.
and your lifestyle, right? So,
Yeah.
you had a couple of posts a few months ago regarding car payments.
Yes.
You've noticed people that will have a certain amount of car payments every month that had they not had the car payments, they would have been able to afford the mortgage or something along those
Yeah.
lines. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Prime example. When the rates were a little bit higher this year and part of last year, with the property taxes, homeowners insurance, and all of that into the monthly mortgage payment, a $500 car payment is equivalent or was equivalent at that time to a mortgage payment with taxes and insurance of about $70,000 or $80,000.
Okay.
So with
So,
that being said,
okay.
car payment that's $500, that knocks down your home buying power by about 70 or 80,000. So if you're looking at that $200,000 house, but based on that car payment, you can only afford 120 or 130.
Oh, see, that's good. I don't think we understand how much having a car payment can limit your buying power.
And people don't know.
That's genius. It's almost worth paying the car off or not having a payment when you go into getting a loan.
That is true. But here's another thing. When
Okay.
it comes to car payments, sometimes that's all people know. They don't know what it's like to have a car without having a car payment.
Mm-hmm.
They see their parents do it, or
Right.
that's how they started off. They just know
Yes.
that a car payment is a part of their expenses. And you also may have some people that's like, well, I need to upgrade my car every 2-3 years because that's how I roll.
Okay.
They're just used to having a car payment.
And that's fine as long as we are, I think the whole goal is to weigh your situation. And that's why I like that point.
Yeah.
The goal is to be informed that if you're the type of person that needs to have a new car and that's your lifestyle, that's fine. This is not saying one way or another, but be also okay with if you're in the market for buying a home, that may knock your buying power down and be okay with that. Because at the end of the day, we are creating our own financial life, but
Yeah.
but you need to be informed about cost benefit, right?
Yes. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people don't know. I take at least 5 loan applications a week.
Okay.
And many people do not know. You know how someone can tell you something, but because they said it so many times, that it just kind of go on one ear and out the other. But then when you speak to another person, they kind of say it in a way where you like, hold on, what you say? And it can be the same thing, but it's said in a different manner. That's what normally happens when I speak to customers about car payments. Because that's like, I gotta have a car. And trust me, even people that have master's degrees and multiple degrees, that's a key element of financial education that I constantly have to go through.
Yeah.
That and the student loan piece and the credit card piece.
Yeah. I'm one of those type of people, and this, I'm not saying that I'm doing something better than somebody else, but I just like to ride mine till the wheels fall off, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking $300 to $400 a month commitment for 5 years. I want to get that, I can get that money to myself.
Yeah.
Imagine having to put that up for yourself and then
Yeah.
more money to do something else with. I mean, you know, that's just the way I am. Plus,
I know for me, I was thinking $400 or $500 a month. At that time, when my husband and I were talking about getting another vehicle, I was like, wait a second, that's 2 round trip plane tickets anywhere we want to go in the US. And then rather than paying that every month, I want to pay for us to have an experience.
Yeah.
So I do no part no fee.
Yeah, well, I think the cornerstone of every financial decision is that you need to know what you're giving up.
Yes.
That's what you're saying by knowing your financial situation. As it relates to home buying, you need to understand how each piece of monthly debt that you're paying every single month affects your buying power.
Yeah. Here's another thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
In considering your financial situation, renting at $1,000 a month is different from having a mortgage at $1,000 a month, because renting has lower risk than ownership when it's attached to a loan. You may often hear people say, well, I pay $1,000 a month in rent. I know I can afford $1,000 a month in a mortgage. There are two different evaluations that take place versus renting and owning. Owning is attached to a mortgage loan that's supposed to carry you for 15 to 30 years.
Okay.
So in the mortgage process, they look at your long-term stability, whereas with your rent, they're looking at, can you handle this for this 12-month lease? You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to homeownership, they're looking at, okay, we know you did good on your rent. But when it comes to you attaching this $150,000 to $200,000 loan,
right,
we want to make sure you can do this for the long haul.
So basically what you're saying is, if someone get approved for a apartment that's $1,000 a month, it is not the same approval process for a mortgage.
That's correct.
Just because you got approved to be an apartment at $1,000 a month does not mean, automatically means that you'll get approved for a mortgage, because that does depend on the debt payments and your credit history and all those other things that go. Okay.
So that goes into your current financial situation and all of that. So this takes me into number 3.
Okay.
How much money do you have saved?
Let's talk about it.
Let me tell you about that. Going back to my example for paying $1,000 a month in rent.
Yep.
Having a $1,000 mortgage payment. When you have a mortgage payment, in most cases, you may have to save money for your down payment, because you're getting a loan. The bank is going to say, okay, we'll give you majority of what you need, but to show good faith, you got to have some skin in the game. So when you think about it, when you were paying, for example, $1,000 in rent, what does your savings account look like while you're paying that rent? Because that is practice. If you're not able to save money when you're renting
at $1,000,
when you get in home ownership, those same habits and same saving practices are going to follow you.
Right.
So from the money lender standpoint, they're trying to say, okay, they're proving themselves they can save money while they're renting. So let's give them a shot at home ownership, because if they can save money and they get into a bind, or they're serious, they're saving money because they're serious about this investment. You know, take all the emotions out of being a homeowner. Where that money at? You know,
so when we're talking about saving and just being able to show that you have the ability to save, What does a saving, I mean, of course, the more money you have in it is wonderful, but I mean, from a percentage standpoint or just a general guideline, what do you think is a great saving number or percentage or whatever for people? And I know it'll largely vary based on income, but
I like to go with percentage. And let me tell you why. When you're doing a first time home buyer option, that means that you can put down between 3 and 5% of whatever your anticipated sales price is. So as a rule of thumb, for whatever purchase price you want to buy in, save a minimum, at bare minimum, save 7%.
Okay.
Of the purchase price. That way, if you do qualify for a 3 to 5% down payment option, do that, and then your realtor will negotiate like any other costs, like closing costs and all of that, and if the seller will help pay. So I always say, at bare minimum, if you're buying a house for $100,000,
3 to 7,000.
Yeah, save that. 3 to 7,000, but at bare minimum, save 7,000. And here's another thing. Some people may qualify for down payment assistance programs.
Oh, tell us about that.
And I'll go into that. Some people may qualify for, okay, you can put 3% or put 5. But the reason why I say save 7% is because anything could happen and you may not qualify. You may not meet the income requirements for down payment assistance. You may make too much money. So it's better to have it and not need it.
Right.
Need it and not have it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, with savings, it puts you in the game mentally.
Yeah, that's good.
Home buyers that go into it not preparing to save have a different mentality than home buyers that's like, okay, let me save. And being in this industry for a while, I hate to say it, but it has to be said. Sometimes people take the home buying process more seriously when they have to invest their own money.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So basically, I got to save this for this. I'm a little bit, so lenders do consider you to be a little more serious because you were intentional about saving for the.
Exactly. Because when you're buying a house, the money lender, I always tell the home buyers, think like a money lender. Think if you were lending your money. You know, some people give a lot of folks a lot of grief over borrowing $100.
Girl, won't they?
So think about if you were a bank and you were lending somebody $100,000 to buy their dream house or whatever.
Right.
But in the bank, you want your money back plus interest. You're going to look through different things because you know how we get when we're like, okay, I'm gonna lend you $100 and I want my money back.
When you say that I shouldn't have to ask you for it.
Yes. So the bank does that times 10 because they do want to make sure that you're a viable borrower and that they're not going to lose money because you won't make your payment or you allow the house to go into foreclosure.
Okay.
So they're not in the business of, okay, I'm going to give this and it was just a gift that they don't pay it back. They don't work like that.
Right. Okay, that was a good one. So we got family size, current situation.
How much do you currently have saved? Here's another thing. When looking at your financial situation and looking how much you got saved, how much of your paycheck is going to be used to pay the mortgage?
Ooh. So what percentage of your paycheck?
What percentage and how much? Say like if you get $1,500 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And your mortgage payment is $1,200. Like $1,500 is your bring home pay, your take home pay. And your mortgage payment is $1,200.
Okay.
when you look at the mortgage and you look at any other of the other bills that you have, are you gonna have some money left over?
Mm,
Because that mortgage is the biggest piece of
that's
the
a
pie.
big, that is a huge piece of the pie. So at 1,200 over, that's if you're doing 50, that's like 3,000.
The $300 after
So that's almost 50% of your take-home pay.
over that, yeah.
Wow, wow.
So, and that's just an example.
Okay.
That you have to think, okay, this is the mortgage. What if I have a car note?
I know this largely depends on each person's financial situation and how much debt they service every month. But what would you say should be your percentage of take-home pay that goes to your mortgage that's comfortable?
I would say to be show enough comfortable,
Uh-huh.
try to keep it at 25%.
Okay.
25, 30%.
Well, so you're right on, because the Brandon Hunter that we had to talk to us about establishing a financial foundation, he said that no more than 30% of your take-home pay to be extremely comfortable should be with your mortgage. And so I like that you right on target with what you're saying to
And
be
that's to give you like some cushion.
a lot of cushion and a lot of breathing room, because things happen. I mean,
somebody could get sick.
yeah.
What if you have one of those type of jobs that's like, okay, you sick, but you ran out of sick days.
Right. Or I just had to replace my air conditioning unit this year. Big ouch. Yeah. So that happens. Yeah.
I bet that ran you at least $4,000-$5,000. One of my girlfriends had to replace her.
Yes, girl. Like, whoa, Jesus Christ.
She was like,
I was like, I don't want to be an adult anymore.
Mhm.
Okay. Family size, current situation. How much are you saving? What percentage of your take-home pay should this mortgage be? Are you planning for your mortgage to be? Okay, those are all great points.
Yeah, so here's the fifth thing. Is this going to be your forever home? And that kind of ties into other questions too. Sometimes with home ownership, it's best to not think like this is the last home that I'm going to buy. So it need to be everything I want and more. Sometimes with home ownership, you have to assess your situation and be like, I want to be a homeowner. I know I'm not where I want to be, but I do want to at least get my foot in the door.
Okay.
Even if it's just a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo.
Okay.
So think like, is this your forever home? Or is this something to start you out for the first 3 to 5 years? Or if you're a single person and in 5 years, you're like, oh, I met the love of my life and we're going to build together. You already have this one property that you got just to hold you. So you can use that as a rental property while you and your boo buy the house together. You know, or you can sell your property and use the proceeds to buy from that to buy another house. It's a variety of things. So I say all that to say, don't get stuck on this is my forever house unless you well established.
Okay, so basically it sounds like you're making this point because people are going out on their first home purchase trying to get their dream house off the top.
Off the top. They don't let HGTV and my house a little bit, you know. Right. But sometimes like you got to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Some people, they haven't seen anyone go through the process.
Right.
So they don't know. And I want people to feel encouraged and empowered and say, if this is your first go round, make the best decision, but it doesn't have to be
the home you desire for your forever home right now.
Right.
So, okay, so I know you ran across some very successful clients who have done it wonderfully well. How, just based on what you've seen with them, how many houses do you think they've purchased and sold before they actually got to that dream home?
I would say on average, maybe 2.
Okay. So 1 or 2, and then after the second one, they get, yeah. Because I remember when I first started looking to buy a home, and just the whole notion of a down payment was so daunting to me. Because in my mind, I'm thinking 20%. I mean, who's walking around with 20 and 30 and $40,000 to place on a house? It just unfathomable to me that people had savings that big. Well, but then I realized people are getting into homes that are smaller, building equity, selling it, flipping that equity into another property, building equity there that's bigger, right? And then selling that and then flipping it to their dream house, to a bigger property.
Yeah.
So, but it took me working and getting around people that didn't grow up like me to understand that that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to what you're saying is to start small versus running out there, stretching yourself for the dream home on the first time.
Let me tell you what normally happens.
Okay.
You know how when we go, excuse me, when we go to college
Uh-huh.
and you have that parent that's like, I'm gonna buy you a small little Rudy Poo house. You have that college student whose parent buy them a house for like 75,000.
Okay, yeah.
And they say, okay, you stay here, you get you a couple of roommates, charge them rent,
Mm-hmm.
through college. When you get through, you can either keep this property or sell it.
Wow.
So many people are teaching the business aspects of ownership
Wow.
and
In
business
college.
in college.
Wow.
I went to college with a guy whose father was a lawyer, and that's what he did for his son. And
What?
during his son's senior year, he said, if you want to keep this house, you want your own, you need to get roommates. I'm not paying this mortgage. I'm paying your tuition, and that's it. So the son had to hustle up and be like, okay, but that business acumen.
That is genius.
Yes, and he got like 2 or 3 of his frat brothers to stay in the house with him.
That is just genius. And so it has taught him how to, property management.
Yeah.
And then now you walk away out of college, you can sell it, you can keep it as rent. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. So little things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of gets you in the door and just teaches you. And sometimes when you learn things the hard way,
yeah,
and then you look back,
yeah,
man, I want to do something like
that. Yeah.
I want to do something like that. Or
yeah.
Some people do have an advantage.
No, that's true.
But this is also why when you're thinking about your situation, you also have to think about the next generation and what you have to improve with the next generation.
That's right. That's right.
I want to kind of go back into another thing where we're talking about savings. It kind of correlates with my other top 10 thing, which is where's my down payment coming from?
Okay.
And I noticed that you mentioned down payment assistance.
Yes.
There are many down payment assistance options for first-time home buyers. It has to be your primary residence, and you do have to have a minimum credit score, but they're also not going to let you buy at the top of your budget either.
Okay. And
some down payment assistance options, they cap your sales price on the home. So you can't be like at 350,000 talking about, can I get down payment? Because it happens. This is supposed to be for a true need to help low to moderate income buyers get in the door with home.
Right. And low to moderate is not buying 300,000 for
No,
sure.
ma'am.
Wow. Wow.
So think about where your down payment is coming from. And here's the thing, where your down payment is coming from, whether you get assistance or whether you save it yourself, you also want to save extra money for
Yeah.
moving expenses.
Yes.
Getting those utilities turned on.
Yeah.
Incidentals.
Yeah. And yeah.
Because buying a house lets you know how grown you are. Like, you grown now.
And really, whatever you expect your moving expenses to be, go ahead and throw a couple of thousand on top of that, because it's always something. Even the little things like boxes and just little knickknacks add up quickly. So that's
new furniture.
Yes, because you get in there, you want to furnish it all on the first day.
Yep. Some people are they're not in those trenches where they're like, I'm just gonna move into the house with my old bed and my kitchen table and that's it. They're not in the trenches like that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good, Sharonda. Okay.
So here's another thing, because I think we got 4 more to go.
Okay.
Now this is going to touch on relationships a bit.
Okay.
If you are single, think about it like this. If you miss one paycheck, could you still keep going with handling your bills? Or if you're married and your spouse loses their job or gets very sick and cannot bring in income, can you still manage this new house that you want as well as the basic expenses? Why this question is so important is because it happens.
Yes. Wow. So, okay, let's take that one in 2 parts.
Yes.
Let's start with I'm married and we're going through the home buying process. The question you want them to ask themselves is, if one of us lose our job or can't pay or can't work, can we afford this mortgage anyway?
Yes.
Okay, and so what you're saying is, what if the answer is no?
If the answer is no, you want to look at your financial situations to see why the answer is no.
Okay.
Also problem solve with your life partner to see how we can get this to a yes.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. That's wonderful. Because it's at that point you might say, oh, these 2 car loans got to go. Let's just knock out the student loan debt, and then, we can still be able to, we can handle it just in case that does happen. You might say, we need to hold off for a couple of years and beef up our savings. Things that you have to weigh. That's wonderful. So, okay, let's take
this. Another thing that happens with that I do want to add.
Okay.
Sometimes, and this is why I say keep your emotions in check during the home buying process, because normally, not all the time, but normally it's the women that makes the decision about what home to get.
Okay.
But when you're talking about being married, because the husband, the man wants his.
I don't care. Yeah.
But you also have to think, what if they're expanding their family and the wife goes from married with no children to married with 2 or 3 children, and her needs change, her desires change, and she may have had maybe a tough pregnancy, or she may have decided, I don't want to work as much. I want to be at home and raise my children. Can my husband handle the mortgage? And I take on something part-time, handle the utilities, or, so this is why I say with couples, they have to talk about it, because it gets to be real. Very
Right.
real.
Right. And so, you got to basically, you're saying, let's evaluate contingency plans in the relationship or in the marriage, because it goes through various seasons. And you want to make sure that regardless what season you're in, the mortgage payment isn't a hindrance for anything. So that makes sense. So let's go for that same part. Let's go to the single person. What if their answer is, I lose a job or I can't work? Can I make this mortgage payment? What if their answer is no, as they're evaluating their mortgage potential?
They would have to look at why their answer is no
Mhm.
and how they can get it to a yes, and
Okay.
also look at their contingency plan to see who is in their support system
Mhm.
in the event that something happens.
Okay.
Some people are seriously doing it all by themselves.
Right.
Some people have supportive parents
Right.
or godparents or friends.
Right. Right.
So you have to think, and say, like, if you're single, what if life happens? What if you get in a car accident?
Right.
God forbid. But what if you get in a car accident and can't work for 2 months?
Yeah. Yeah.
So though it's unfortunate, you want to be prepared. This is why it's important to think like, okay, let me have an emergency fund.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. Yeah.
Let me have something else in place. The contingency, the same contingency that you would have to do if you have a life partner, you kind of
Right.
have to do the same thing as if you're single. But it gets real because no one wants to think the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Right. I know, for myself personally, I'm single, but I make sure I have at least a couple of months, case, so that if anything does happen, I'm not a paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
I think as single people, if you're not dependent on another income, it's very important to not be paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
If you're going to go into a home mortgage, where if you're a paycheck away from not paying the mortgage, at least be, 2 to 3 paychecks away or something of that sort. And everybody has their own comfort level when it comes to emergency savings. So
Absolutely.
great. All right, girl.
So here's my next thing. I think we're down to what, 3, our last 3? Yep,
Yeah.
our last 3. Here's something else to consider. Do I have elderly parents or young children, like
Okay.
under 10, multiple children under 10? And the reason why I say that is because sometimes when you go through the pre-approval process, most of the time the mortgage loan officer wants that sale and they'll say, oh yeah, you can go to the top. But sometimes you have to consider your family. This kind of ties into the family size, but it's kind of different because your elderly parents may not be staying with you, or things happen,
Right.
and a family member may have to come and live with you.
Right.
Or you have young children and things change. And so you may have to say, okay, I need, prime example, with this virtual learning and school due to COVID, I have run across more home buyers that are doing applications because either they needed to downsize or make a lateral move to a different home and base it on one spouse's income instead of both spouses' income, because maybe the wife decided to stop working and help homeschool her children or help with virtual learning.
Oh, okay. So you're actually seeing that come through.
I see that.
They are making those real-time adjustments.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also seeing families, multi-generational families,
Okay.
that are buying 5-bedroom, 4-bath houses to house a mother and father and maybe their young children and their elderly parents.
Okay.
A cousin that may be coming over here from another country that's trying to get on their feet.
Right.
Different cultures do that
Yeah.
so they can have space for people to live, but also space to save money so
Right.
that, you know, if there's a time to branch out, they can do that because they have that comfort in family.
Okay. Okay. So if someone has elderly parents, you're saying consider, just you're not saying make a complete decision based off of, oh, they may be disabled and have to come live with me. I can't get this house. You're not saying that, are you? You're just saying
Yes.
consider what their options are as they age, and if you have any responsibility for that within your financial situation, and be
Yes.
cognizant of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Whether they come live with you or whether you have to help with their expenses.
Right. Okay. That's a big one because that takes people off guard all the time and cause a lot of rift in families because we really go in about money over,
Mhm.
So, okay, so that's that. And then with people with, you said younger children under 10, what are some of those considerations? Is it just those expenses, like childcare expenses and things like that?
Yeah, childcare expenses, the change with virtual learning. There have been parents that have had to give up their job,
Right.
have had to say, I'm working from home, but I can only do it part-time, or they're trying to juggle a full-time job and help their children with virtual learning because
It's real.
outside the home.
Yeah, yeah. My employer has been very flexible and for parents with us working at home and everything. I can only imagine what it's like if you're working with an employer that is not family oriented and expecting you to deliver within their time constraints and virtual learn at the same time. I would be losing my mind. My Lord.
Yeah. So this takes us down to our last two.
Okay.
I'm touching on this for business owners. If you're a business owner, which means you're an independent contractor,
okay,
or you own a corporation, you want to consider this because your income is looked at a little bit differently.
Okay.
For example, you're a business owner and you make $200,000 a year for your business, but then you have expenses. Let's say you have $150,000 in business expenses. So you get $200,000 in income, $150,000 in expenses. So as a business owner, your profit for that year would be calculated to be $50,000.
Right.
So that means your qualifying income to get a mortgage would not be the $200,000 that your business makes.
It's your profit.
It's the $50,000 that your business profits.
Okay.
And with the money lenders, they look at that to see how your business has been going for the previous 2 years and your current year to date to see if your business income is enough to say, okay, let's give them a mortgage or the amount of mortgage that they want because their business income is either going up, or no, let's not give it to them because their business profits are going down.
I would imagine though that in order for them to even evaluate that, can you talk about good record keeping?
Absolutely. A business owner, there comes a point where you have to level up and get somebody on the payroll to handle your paperwork. Many people, I don't want to pay nobody to do it. I can handle it, or my spouse can handle it, and all of that. You have to do an honest evaluation and see if you need to put somebody on your payroll that handles your books for you.
Yeah.
And also if they know that you're trying to buy a house, it cannot look like on paper that your company is failing. When it comes to money lending for a mortgage, the only way we can truly verify what you make is based on what you report to the IRS.
Uh-huh.
You report to the IRS that your company is not making money.
No net losses, so you don't pay tax.
And you're an accountant, so you know.
Right. Right.
Like, no, I don't want to pay taxes, but sometimes I'm just telling you this, sometimes you gotta pay to be in the game.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. You can't exercise the privilege of writing off everything as a business owner. And then on your taxes, you're making $20,000 a year, but you want to buy a $300,000 house.
Because they're supposed to look at your revenue and not your profit.
Right.
Okay. Oh, that's a great one. And I bet it's a big, huge misconception that you have to straighten up a lot.
It is. With certain communities, they've learned or they were told ahead of time.
Right.
And I do a lot of, many of my customers are business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep their debt low, they keep their credit good, and they keep money stacked in the bank. And this is how you're able to see certain people, they're able to buy in areas that the average person cannot because of that financial literacy piece.
Hit them 3 points again for me. They keep their what?
They keep their debt low.
Debt low.
They keep their credit good.
Credit good.
And they keep some money stacked in the bank.
Their money stacked in the bank.
Not in a mattress, in the bank.
Yeah.
Because the bank needs to verify where your money's coming from, your down payment.
Right. So I really like that point, because if we have any business owners, potential business owners, are those that want to grow their business and have their to be 100% of their income.
Yes.
It's very important to have low debt, great savings, and a good credit score, which does involve debt management. So it's my hope that people will really hold on to those 3 things and say, let me focus on that.
Yeah. And if you're a business owner and you have to pay taxes,
right,
sometimes you have to look like, okay, it's not the end of the world. So what if you have to pay $5,000? On paper, it looks like you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year. And that's enough to get you in the game as long as you keep your debt low.
Yeah.
Your credit good and money stacked in the bank.
I like it.
That's where having a good accountant comes in, not just somebody that's trying to get you over with Uncle Sam, but somebody that's trying to help you level up, because you never know what else you need your credit for.
Right. And that's very similar to if you're accustomed to reporting a large amount of losses so that you reduce your taxes, but you don't know that you really need that profit to show that profit so that you can purchase a home. So that's a good.
You can borrow money, so you can borrow money to purchase home or buy a business.
Right.
Or do a merger.
Right. Great stuff.
So this brings us into our last of the top 10.
All right.
So all the things that we've went over, the last thing that you really want to consider is, do I want to take the same mindset I have now into home ownership?
Girl, break that down.
So when I say that, with the first 9 points that I have given, I'm pretty sure some people are like, oh, okay, I got to think about this, think about that, or whatever. And it really forces you to not only look at yourself, but to see how you've been operating.
It does.
And how you've been operating, do you want to take that with you to the next level? Because the habits that you have now will not allow you to maintain the level that you're going to. So you have to practice. So if you're not saving money, but you're going into an arena where having money saved will help, you may have to say, okay, let me be better in this area.
Right.
Or if you make emotional decisions with your finances, but you're going into an area where you need to be level-headed, keep your emotions in check, you may want to say, okay, let me get my emotional spending under control.
Right. Right.
So whatever habits, this thing will hit people different.
That's right.
So whatever hit you,
right.
Do you want to take that into the next level?
So basically what you're saying is, when you listed, and I'm gonna ask you to go back through them one more time before we log off. But as you're basically saying, you reading these points, those pointers for consideration should be things that make you do a little bit more soul searching as it relates to your financial habits.
Yeah.
And point to some areas in your financial habits that you may want to work on before home ownership, because that's really a shift in mentality to do so anyway.
It is.
Because we are a debt-driven, monthly payment-driven society. And we are a society that does not really value delayed gratification. We want what we want immediately. We don't really want to build. I mean, it's, that's a level of mentality that will take a mind shift. Most successful people, especially the ones that are building wealth, have a different mindset.
Yes.
So my challenge for those that are watching this video and for those that will come across this video sometime in the future, I'm going to ask Miss Everson to go back through her 10 considerations, And I want each of you to really think through what are some things that you can change in your behavior or your mindset. Jot that down and pick one. Start with. Like, for example, she mentioned that her more successful business owners are the ones that do 3 things. They have low debt, they have great savings, and they have good credit score. And they're getting out and they're staying in the game. So, if you're a business owner that's looking for longevity, pick one of those and let's focus on it. But outside of owning a business, for those that are personal, I think any one of these can challenge you. It certainly does challenge me, especially when we're talking about being single and losing a paycheck. For my personal situation, I don't play about that. I'm like, who I'm gonna call? So that's important to me. But for other people that are in other situations, there are things that on this list that should be just as important. So before we log off, Sharonda, would you just running down those last 10 and then give us any parting words? And we just do thank you for your service in helping us getting the word out.
No problem. And again, this top 10 list, the top 10 things to consider before purchasing a home, they're in no particular order of importance, okay? But consider your family size, your current family size. Look at your current financial situation and habits. Look at how much you currently have saved. Look at how much of your paycheck will be used to pay the mortgage. Also look into, will this be your forever home or just a starter home? Look at if your spouse lost their job or if you missed a paycheck, can you still manage things? Consider where your down payment money is coming from. That kind of goes back into your savings. Also consider, do you have any elderly parents or young children under the age of 10 that are still in elementary school? Look at if you're a business owner and your tax situation. And the final thing is, do you want to take the same mindset that you have now into home ownership?
Right, right.
So I say this. This is basically to encourage you,
Yes.
empower you with information, because sometimes we're too busy and we're too distracted with other things to look at what we have going on in our own household.
Mm-hmm.
This election has really brought out a lot of people's concerns. So I say, no matter who is in office, regardless, you focus on getting your house in order, your own house.
Yes. Yes.
So focus on that. And you know what? Give yourself some grace.
That's a big one.
Give yourself some grace. You don't have to be perfect. Get around people that are humbly but confidently where you want to be, so you can have some accountability. And also, when you have those discouraging moments, they can say, no, get back up. You got some goals. So get around some people that are on a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And with the giving yourself some grace part, I say that because sometimes people think, well, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I should be well ahead. It's okay. I work with first-time home buyers that were in their 40s and in their 50s.
Yes.
It's okay. You know, learn from your mistakes and keep it moving. Don't stay where you are just because you've gotten comfortable. So I say that, be encouraged, people. It's a lot of things that's out there to keep us down. Look for a way to rise up despite the circumstances.
Well, thank you so much, Sharonda. This was wonderful. I think, and I've said this before, but one of the things that I love about what you're doing as a mortgage lending consultant and your passion for financial literacy is that it's for encouragement, it's for uplifting, and it's for people of all age ranges. You can rebuild. It's okay to start over. As long as you're going to need, as long as we're living and need to make a living, there's always a need for financial management. You can get out of any hole you get in as long as there's breath in your body. People have done it. So with that, I think it's a wrap. We appreciate Sharonda Everson for stopping in and giving us her expertise. And feel free to go back to any of our prior videos on some of our other sessions. Follow us also on our blog, www.nabafinancialliteracy.com. We'll have continued financial literacy topics on there. And we'll be seeing from Sharonda again. I have her in my tool belt and told her that she's now officially one of my people. So we will see her again. Thank you again, Sharonda. And I think we can call it a night.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.